What's the description of these events? We don't know. That hasn't been laid out. So the government is saying, we will produce that to you, but we are planning on producing that on March 7th, 2025. So that's 8 weeks before trial. And that will include the court's rulings on pretrial motions, like what evidence will come in. So basically, the prosecution is saying, we really can't produce this enterprise letter and be accurate about the case until we know which way the court is going to rule on key pieces of evidence. The prosecution says defense counsel's proposal that the enterprise letter be filed prior to pretrial motions is contrary to the practice in this district and inefficient, given that pretrial motions could impact the substance of the letter. So again, they're saying them laying out their entire case and what they have, it's too premature. The court has to work out other issues before we can submit the letter. And the government argues that Combs isn't playing fair. Quote, the defendant was arrested in September 2024, and the trial date was set at the defendant's insistence for May 5th, 2025, a span of fewer than 8 months. The defendant is trying to have his cake and eat it too here by insisting on a speedy trial, but also insisting on deadlines in cases with much longer timelines. And by the way, speaking of the defense, here is their position on the enterprise letter. They write, quote, Mr. Combs is at a significant disadvantage. Defense counsel still do not understand the contours of the government's allegations, including who the government even considers a victim, and have repeatedly asked for assistance from the government. Unless and until the government is required to make trial disclosures, the defense will remain ignorant of the evidence it is required to meet. The result will be a fundamentally flawed trial. Accordingly, Mr. Combs proposes that the government file its enterprise letter by February 1st, 2025. So that is less than a month away. That's just a few weeks away. So that is one disclosure issue in this letter. Also in the letter, we move on to notices regarding who will be called as expert witnesses and rebuttal expert witnesses. So here, the prosecution is proposing that all parties, the prosecution and the defense, provide notice of their experts about 8 weeks before trial, March 7th, 2025. And rebuttal experts, if there are any, 2 weeks later, by March 21st. So that is 6 weeks before trial. And the reason that you need to provide notice to the other side of who you're planning to call is because opposing sides need time to vet the reliability and the relevance of expert witnesses. In the law, we call that the Daubert standing or briefing on Daubert. Now, the prosecution says here's the problem. Combs' lawyers have indicated they are not going to provide their notice of who their experts are until the prosecution first provides their experts. And the prosecution says that's inefficient. It won't provide them enough time to file challenges, and that is inconsistent with how things are done here.